اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
And now we come to the one hadith that has created a problem for the world of Islamic scholarship. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim. It speaks of the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam. And then he kills Dajjal. And then after he has killed Dajjal, فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ. Ba'atha does not mean release. Ba'atha means to send. But somehow or the other, everybody have come to the conclusion that after Nabi Isa alayhi salam kills Dajjal, that Allah will now release Ba'atha, Gog and Magog. The first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee, but in Arabic it's not the Sea of Galilee. That's an English word used by the Christians. The Jews don't use Sea of Galilee. The Jews call it Lake Kinneret. Kinneret. And in the Ahadith it is known as Buhayrat al-Tabariya, Lake Tiberias. All three names refer to the same body of water. The first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. And by the time the last of them pass, they will say, there used to be water here. I think this is a fairly simple footprint to recognize. Fairly simple, like the tall buildings. That when you see the water level in the Sea of Galilee going down and down and down, and when it reaches the point of no return, that it has crossed the level now, that the Sea of Galilee could ever be revived. It's only a matter of time for it to die, to dry up. Then you know that you are close now to the end. What is the water level in the Sea of Galilee now? The answer is the water level in the Sea of Galilee has already crossed the point of no return. That's how low it is. Indicating that Gog and Magog have been passing. When they pass by the Sea of Galilee, where are they going? They're going to Jerusalem. When they go to Jerusalem, what are you doing with the water? You drank all that water? Huh? We're dealing here with religious symbolism. It's not the actual drinking of the water. Rather, it is the consumption of water. Israel said, we're going to make the deserts green. Those Arabs couldn't do that. They are dum-dums, the Arabs. And we have the scientific and technological know-how. We can change the desert and make it green. So when you see the water level in the Sea of Galilee going down lower and lower and lower and lower, you know that a lot of them have already passed. And by the time the Sea of Galilee dries up and there is no more water, they have all left the north and they have reached to the Holy Land. Where are we now? Answer? Just look at the Sea of Galilee and you'd look. A little island just appeared in the Sea of Galilee maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, which was not there before. The Sea of Galilee is going down. It is in irreversible decline. It's just a matter of time now before it dries up, indicating that most of Gog and Magog have already come this way. We now come to another intriguing event. It is located in the Sunan in the Sahih of Imam Muslim. A companion of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he was Christian, he became Muslim. His name is Tamim Dari. He came to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and narrated an event which occurred.
When we study the event critically, we come to the conclusion this could not have been an actual event, it had to be a vision.
The Prophet listened, and then he said to the people, "Sit down, I have something to say to you." Tamim Dari came to me and told me something about the Antichrist, which confirms what I have been saying to you. And now we get the story from the blessed lips of the Messenger of Allah. What is the story? Tamim ad-Dari and some 30 or 40 of his companions went on board a ship. And then the storms came and blew the ship for a whole month before they arrived at an island. And when they got on shore, they got off the ship and they went on shore, they were confronted by a very hairy creature. Plenty hair, so much hair you could hardly tell which side is head and which side is tail. And then this creature spoke and said, "I am Jassasa." Jassasa, spy. Surah Al-Hujurat, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا, do not spy. So this is an island with a lot of people who excel in spying. And then Jassasa pointed to a monastery. There's someone waiting to see you there.
And said, "There's someone waiting to see you," pointing to a monastery which is lying in ruins.
So they rushed to the monastery. And there they found this young man, powerfully built, with curly hair, but there's no description about his eyes. His hands were chained to his neck, his feet were chained. And this man began to question Tamim ad-Dari and his companions. A number of very interesting questions.
The man said to us, "Tell me about the palm trees of Baysan." Baysan is a city in Jordan. And he wanted to know whether there were palm trees planted in there or not. We said, what do you exactly want to know about Baysan in Jordan? He said, I asked you, are there more palm trees and have they be filled with dates or not yet? They said, yes, it is full of palm trees and full of dates, more than many other places in what we know. He said, soon its palm trees and dates will become scarce, will no longer give fruits. Today, really, in Jordan, dates are scarce now. It used to be in history, abundance. He said, now explain to me about Buhayra al-Tabariya. They said, what do you want to know about it?
He asked, is there any water left in the Sea of Galilee?
He said, does it have water in it? They said, yes, there is lots of water. He said, soon its water is going to go away. It's not going to exist anymore. And truly today, the water has gone drier than before.
And then he said, I am Dajjal. I am the Antichrist.
Thousands of years ago, Moses had to strike a rock to get water in the desert. Well, today Israelis are taking a slightly different approach, using technology and creativity. In Israel, the main sources of drinking water are the Sea of Galilee and 2 underground aquifers. In 1953, Israel started building the National Water Carrier, a system of pipelines, canals, and reservoirs that carry water from the Sea of Galilee to the rest of Israel.
For centuries, the Sea of Galilee has inspired believers the world over. The waters the Bible tells us Jesus walked on, the shores where he performed his miracles. A place of beauty, religion and legend. But today, on the brink of disaster.
Water should be above our heads, in fact. The tragedy is that you don't need to be Jesus Christ anymore to walk here on the Sea of Galilee.
Environmentalist Gidon Bromberg and I could walk the floor of the lake because its waters have retreated hundreds of yards.
Making the desert bloom is unsustainable, and the demise of the Sea of Galilee must send that message to Israeli politicians.
This bay should be full of water right up to those rocks. The Sea of Galilee is so low it must be pumped uphill into the Jordan now, the river it should feed. Otherwise its baptism sites would dry up. But the Jordan doesn't flow much further from here. Israeli authorities deny mismanagement. Instead, they blame the weather.
Such a drought of 5 successive years, that's something we never met. And that's also something that statistically is really rare.
On the waters, boatmen who fish for tourists are deeply alarmed.
We used to use the first pier, and then the water level went down, so we brought another one, and now another one.
Do you think it's going to get better?
We pray it will be better, and it will be. We trust God.
It'll need more than divine intervention. Scientists say if the Sea of Galilee sinks another metre or 2, it could reach a point of no return, and this could be lost forever.
The Sea of Galilee is dropping so fast that islands of earth are appearing. It could run out of water altogether in less than a year, and this is 1/3 of Israel's water supply. The Jordan River is drying up, barely a muddy stream in places. The farms along its banks dying without water.
As the dry months of summer sweep through the Middle East, Israel is faced with its worst water crisis ever. The water level in Israel's 3 main water sources, the Sea of Galilee, the coastal aquifer, and the mountain aquifer, have now receded to the lowest levels in recorded history. In fact, the 3 sources have already dropped below the red line, the point at which Israel is supposed to stop pumping. Faced with increased consumption due to population growth, land development, and water commitments to Jordan and the Palestinians, Israel has no choice but to continue pumping from its water sources. Yet if Israel continues, water levels will soon drop under the black line, the point of no return, where continued pumping will cause severe, irreversible damage to Israel's water sources.
Israel lies in the arid Middle East region. Population growth and dry winters have led to dangerous decline in the country's two main water sources. Lake Kinneret in North Israel is shrinking, while the underground water reserves are overused and partially contaminated.
The biblical River Jordan, a rare freshwater resource in the Middle East. It forms the border between Israel and the West Bank and Jordan. At this bend, about 6 miles from Jericho, it's believed John the Baptist baptized Jesus of Nazareth.
In the 60s, the water level of the Jordan River was actually where we're standing now.
In wintertime, it was this high.
Gidon Bromberg is Israel Director of EcoPeace Middle East, an environmental group.
Badran Jabba surveys his destroyed crops. A field of cauliflowers and tomatoes, ruined. And it's not the result of a natural disaster. What happened here was man-made. Badran Jabba's fields lie right beneath the illegal Jewish settlement of Kiryat Arba. There doesn't appear to be any restrictions on water use here. A row of greenhouses where the settlers are growing crops. This is the Israeli water mains for the whole region. State-of-the-art and well-maintained. Across the road is the local connection for the Palestinians of Al-Baqa village. Rusty and with a smashed gauge. Only one house in the village has a water supply. It belongs to a cousin, and Badran has connected a pipe to it.
The taps in Hamid Muhanni's home are there more as a sign of hope. There's been no water through them for 5 long months.
The municipality does not give us water as they should. Water comes through our pipes twice a year.
More than 300,000 Palestinians across the West Bank are not connected to a water network, according to Palestinian human rights groups. Since the 1967 occupation, all water resources are exclusively in Israeli hands.
We receive maybe 2,000 cubic meters per day. It means that we need Yatta 7,000 to give the people to reach 70 to 80 liters per capita.
Once you leave the West Bank and cross into Israel, the picture could hardly be more different. There's no shortage of water here. Israelis quite literally splash it around. And you'll hardly find a more striking example than this of how Israel squanders water. An ornamental fountain in a park, while Palestinians in the West Bank barely have enough water to drink and to wash. Amnesty says the settlers use 5 times as much water as the Palestinians in the West Bank. Back in the West Bank, the settlement of Har Sinai is expanding across the fence from Radi Sultan's fields. There's no shortage of water here.
Today, Palestinians have access to roughly 90 liters of water per day per capita, while Israelis have access to 284. Palestinians say this disbalance results from the Israeli Water Corporation often cutting off their water supply and Israel denying them permits to dig wells. They say that Mekorot maintains a strict quota on their water usage while pumping unlimited amounts both for Israelis and for Jewish settlers in the West Bank.
This is the most significant source of surface fresh water that we have. For this region where we're talking about Israel, Palestine and Jordan, this is it. Israel pumps water out of this lake into what is called the national water carrier, bringing water from this part of the country, the northern area where we have most of the rainfall, to the very dry south.
Munther, a water engineer, talked to us in Wadi Fukin, a Palestinian village surrounded by Israeli settlements.
Water to us Palestinians, it's pumped by Israel, by the government of Israel. And the government of Israel is giving us less than 1/5 of what he's giving to his population.
Cut off from the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan River, the Palestinians' only fresh water sources are groundwater and what they buy from Israel. Israelis use 3 to 4 times as much water as Palestinians, while Americans use 8 times as much. Across the border in Jordan, people share the same watershed and the same scarcity.
This place was in this, what we see in this picture. This is the situation of this place in 70s and 60s and 50s and the last century. It's disaster.
A leading rights group claims Israel is depriving Palestinians of their fair share of the region's scarce water supplies, while settlers and other Israeli citizens splash it around. With the tap all but closed for residents of the West Bank and Gaza.
Some areas in the West Bank have had no water for the past 40 days, while the Israeli water company Mekrot has diverted their share to illegal Israeli settlements. Israel has announced that it has turned off taps to the Palestinian communities in the occupied West Bank, effectively leaving tens of thousands of Palestinians without any water supplies. Currently, water lines are empty in Jenin, several villages in Nablus, in addition to the city of Salfit and its surrounding villages.
Israel has complete control over the region's water resources. It prevents Palestinians from digging wells and other methods to invest underwater sources. Palestinians are only allowed to dig wells with a specific depth in specific areas. They control everything regarding water.
According to Amnesty International, nearly 200,000 Palestinians in the West Bank do not have access to running water.
Gaza, which lies between the arms of the Mediterranean, is now a crisis water area. Most of the families in the Gaza Strip do not have access to water, both drinking and running. However, the people would now dig in the ground for any water if it works for them.
We have nothing. We are sitting in the school. We have no water, no food. There are a lot of casualties in the school. We even don't shower.
Now, Israel's national water company has cut off supplies to tens of thousands of Palestinians living in the occupied West Bank. Mekrot has decided to close the valves which supply major areas of the northern West Bank. The city of Salfit and surrounding villages, including Jenin, have been affected.
والله المي اللي عندنا بالنسبة للبير تبع المي ميته سيئة جدا. ميته عاطلة، حتى الحيوان لا يقبل انه يشرب.